What do you make of the reinforcements by Kaizer Chiefs? Are they going to help move this team forward?
Moving from Paris to Chiefs, I need to make this clear and set this straight with you, Jay, specifically.
You're going to lie.
The biggest institute in South African
football
to say
something
is
that cannot be
Pirates.
backed up by facts. And I'm not even a Kaizer Chiefs fan, but you know what, Chuck? I respect the rivalry. What you're saying is not facts. Kaizer Chiefs are very firmly the biggest institution in South African football.
57 fans.
How has this come back to Sundowns? How has this come back to Sundowns? I'm taking up for Kaizer Chiefs and you just throw it at Sundowns. I'm not even making an argument that Sundowns are like the biggest institution. I don't make that. I just say Sundowns are just the most successful one.
That's why I get to my
But in terms of the biggest institution, there's nothing like it, course.
With the biggest institute, that's why you're able to say the crowd in Orlando is like no other. The atmosphere in Orlando.
Yeah,
on
because
Africa,
the other team have done
is like
nothing
no other.
for 10
Number
years.
one. Number two, when you look at the success. Number three, our videos do well when we do Pirate stuff because it's the biggest institution in South Africa.
Because there is a depression with Kaizer Chiefs because of where they found themselves. If Kaizer Chiefs were doing what Pirates were doing, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's all I'm going to say. Exactly. Just by welcoming a coach. Did you see how they showed up for the coach at the airport? The launch of the kids. Like when there's some excitement with the Kaizer Chiefs fans, you realize when they sold back to back in different provinces.
That's tomfoolery. Now we go to cups. We don't go to kit launches. We go to cup finals.
And you put me in a position where I'm taking out for Kaizer Chiefs here. But those are facts, Chuck. Kaizer Chiefs are bigger than everybody else in this country.
It's not big shit going to kit launches. Now we go to cup finals. We're in Africa. That's big.
And that's
not
the point.
That's
the point. That's the point.
Games.
If they ever do get back to their glory days,
that's saying like what 20 years ago. Anyway, as they bid to solidify what Jay would claim to be the biggest institute in South Africa, they would need to win silverware. They need to win cups. They need to be competitive. And with the inclusion or rather the signing of these three players, Jay, it's a mixed bag for me because Tashrik Morris doesn't score a lot of goals. So you wonder to yourself, when you've had trouble with Ranga, you've had trouble with Ashley Dupre, you've had trouble with Usaile as well. Utu was the one who's scoring your goals, young talent. Untu scoring your goals, Shabala, young talent. And when you bring in Tashrik Morris, are you sorting out the problem? Are you making the forward line better? I don't think you necessarily are. So I don't know about that particular signing. Maybe the coach has seen something that I haven't, and I'm happy to watch and see because he's the coach, I'm the analyst. But number two, Jay, Lilepo, I think because Nabi has had an eye on him since he was coaching back in Yanga, you think to yourself, there's something there because he still wants that player. And in addressing the idea that Chiefs, it's a project, it'll take time, I need players. If he's still reaching out to that player, that means that player, according to Nabi, still got it. Another person in the forward line, has decent number of goals, has got international experience, although it be in the third tier of French football, but he sees him good enough to play for Kaizer Chiefs. The thing, though, as hyped up as it could be and as good as it could be in that particular league for that particular team, we tend to see that when players come to Kaizer Chiefs, somehow, someway, they don't shine as well or they don't glow as brightly as they do in their previous teams, and then the pressure gets a hold of them. So I don't know about that one. I haven't quite seen him in the flesh in terms of how he plays and what he brings to the table. I've seen highlights, which, like I said, is not necessarily the full package because the pressure comes in when you come to Chiefs. Because we've seen players sign, Dabu de Klerk, Boom Simang, all these other players who've come to Chiefs, and then all of a sudden you're like, what happened? You know? So Thabo Cele, I think, might be the star signing because what you want to build in every successful team is a spine. I don't know if they've gotten it right with the keeper. That part of the spine is a bit shaky. But if Thabo Cele would align maybe with Martin, then you find someone who will be a striker, then you're close to solving your issues. But if you don't have a proper spine, then you might have problems. And I think he's key because Nabi has always wanted to play out from the back. And if he can be the guy who can receive the ball and allow the team to play out from the back, then that's one big box ticked in terms of here's how I want to start my build-ups. So if Thabo Cele can be that person who can be, number one, responsible with the ball, number two, recycle it well and choose the best passing options, because I think they're missing a big player in Castillo. I think he was a good player in terms of defining what the spine of Kaizer Chiefs is, making those late runs into the box, being solid in the midfield, and just being reliable performer week in, week out. So if Thabo Cele can bring anything near that in terms of controlling the midfield, along with Abo Blom, along with Abo Ngo, and form some form of cohesion in the midfield, then Chiefs are dangerous because they create chances. They just can't put them away, which then questions come upon Lilepo. Will he aid that? Morris, will he aid that? But Thabo Cele, can he keep them competitive? Because the thing that they turned around the last 2 fixtures against free agents and Cocoons that they haven't conceded, which is great. But for the entire campaign of the league, they've been conceding goals all the time, and that's because of the weak midfield and obviously the shaky defense because there aren't established partnerships that continue playing every other game. So for me, Jay, the jury's out. Who knows what would happen with these players? But if I'm going to be optimistic about someone, maybe Thabo Cele.
Yeah, it's hard to be optimistic, Chuck. And the reason it's hard to be optimistic is because of recent history where Kaizer Chiefs and signings are concerned. Since the start of the 23-24 season, Kaizer Chiefs have added 19 players. This is not counting the return of Oblom or the matriculation of the development players into the first team. If you go back another season, that number balloons to about 35, right? And I'd ask you this question. I'll ask everybody watching, especially Kaizer Chiefs fans, of the players. And as I'm saying, I'm talking about a group now of 35 players or so who have been signed. Who stands out in your mind as, oh man, that has been not even a great, Chuck, but a good Kaizer Chiefs signing? That is someone who has been a solid performer in the black and gold. You can't really think of anyone. You can't think of anyone who has joined in the last 3 seasons that's the guy you need to build around, right? And even this season, as they've made signings, of course, the ones who were signed at the start of the season, they still need some time to fully suss them out in terms of how good they are, right? But with Miguel Inacio, for example, he's not a centre-back. He is a converted centre-back. He probably should be playing in the midfield as a destroyer, and we've seen him get yellow cards and red cards. But the jury is still out. Even with Dotley, as great as the potential is with Dotley, and we've seen him for Bafana, we've also seen him be part of a shaky defense. And most Kaizer Chiefs fans I speak to are ready to give up on Ukros already. The coach seems to have given up on Untuari, the goalkeeper. And I personally felt coming into the season, you should just go with Vuma. Because yes, he might not be Tumlen Kune or Brian Spider-Baloy, but he's solid enough where if you have other gaps to plug, you don't need to go and buy the keeper as well. So when I do note the recent history of Kaizer Chiefs and their signings, the most exciting prospects at Kaizer Chiefs in the last few seasons have been those players who have come up from development. In terms of when they've taken out the checkbook and went and signed a player, however impressive as you say they were in their previous team, when they get to Kaizer Chiefs, it seems like it's a different player altogether or a different experience. So I'm not very optimistic. I see the profiles of the players. I hear the excitement. I hear the scouting reports. But because of where they have landed, and also with a couple of them, one, an unknown with Ulilepa, and two, with Umores, where we've not seen anything over a 10-year stretch, a sample piece that long to suggest that, oh, this guy's going to come in here and bang in the goals, you know? And we know Kaizer Chiefs do need a striker because they create chances in high volume, and you think to yourself, if they can just get somebody who is prolific in front of goal, then they are going to continue being one of the better goal scorers. The issue has been on defense. And I think Thabo Cele, as much as he's not a quote-unquote destroyer, he helps in that because he is a controller in the middle of the park. And that is a player who Samkelo Zwane is, but he's more mature, he's more developed than Uzwane. And you think if Kaizer Chiefs can get more control in games, he can dictate the tempo of games more often, then you're not going to see Kaizer Chiefs concede as many goals because they would be dictating what is happening in games more often. But again, even there, I know who Thabo Cele is. I know about him. I've not seen him play much. I know Kaizer Chiefs have coveted him for a long time, and there's great big excitement from Football Fundis where he is concerned and being plugged into this Kaizer Chiefs team. But again, this is what we thought of Umart when he was at Iskukune, you know, and he's come in there and he's quite honestly not lived up to those expectations. Same thing with the Ox. The Kaizer Chiefs fan base were crying out specifically, go get Ox at Stellies, and he's been there, and it's not been a perfect transition for him to come into the team. He seems to be finding his feet now again. So the optimism is not very high. I know why they signed Thabo Cele. I know also why they signed Ulilepo. It seems Coach Nabi likes that kind of profile in terms of a forward who is big, who's athletic. That's why he's played Uranga. That's why he's played Usaile even just before Saile made his move now to Supersport to take another look at him. And with Umores, who was clubless just a few months ago before Supersport picked him up, I can't imagine they've signed him for his goal scoring ability, because again, you look at his track record, it doesn't scream that this is a man who's going to come in and replicate Collins Mesuma numbers, or even Knowledge Musona numbers, But perhaps what he can do with his height, his physicality, and his engine, which his previous coach Roger de Sao speaks highly of, that he's gonna help you defending from the front, which is crazy in modern football. We talk about strikers in terms of their defensive abilities, but also what he may come into the team to do is help with the link up play and holding up the ball and bringing those other players into goal scoring opportunities. Duba and Umtu are the leading goal scorers for Kaizer Chiefs this season. So if not, maybe looking to him to go give you double-digit goals, that's what you are looking for him to do.